Thank you. If you go through roll call.
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Cancio. Mr. Gonzalez.
Here.
Mr. Holland. Mr. Martinez.
Present.
Mr. Meyer.
Present.
Mr. Rodriguez Pina.
Here.
Ms. Fano.
Here.
Mr. Vasquez. Mr. Walters. Ms. Weinberg.
Still here.
Secretary Pago.
Here.
Chair Gutierrez.
Here. We have a full board here. Very good. Congratulations to all of us. Thank you very much for coming today, and also for the people and the speaker. With that, I'm going to set the agenda, and there is one change where the chairman's comments, I'm moving it up to item D, given that we have an attorney-client privilege meeting. And so that will be our last item before we actually close the session for today. Is there a motion to approve?
Second.
That as it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against can vote so. And with that, I turn it over to council.
Good afternoon. Do any of the members of the esteemed board have any conflicts to report? No conflicts. We move forward.
Free of conflicts.
To the new members, first day here, I will meet with you personally to go over the conflicts form and everything else like I did with Mr. Myers, board member Myers this morning. So I look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you so much, Council. And I want to take this opportunity to welcome the 3 board members. This is your first board meeting, and obviously you've hit the ground running because you've already been at workshops, strategic plan, policy meeting, very busy. As you know, the business of MDX continues. Please do not believe the outside doors and what they're saying. The perception not necessarily is reality. Come to the meetings, come to the committee meetings, sit with staff. You'll realize that things are not as they seem, but they are in very good condition as we continue to move forward. With that, I want to start with Mr. Cliff Walters. Did I pronounce your name correctly? Welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself. I think I've seen you in the hallways.
Yeah, I used to be here quite frequently years ago. I started off in Miami-Dade about 33 years ago, working for environmental resources for the county. Worked at Metro Rail for a while when that was opening up. Then I moved on to the county manager's office, where I helped coordinate the various infrastructure departments. And then I spent the last 6 or 7 years with Miami-Dade County working at water and sewer, doing government relations. I left there about 15 years ago, went to work with Sergio Pereira at Meridian International.
Oh, we know him.
I know you do.
Famous for his tobacco smoking, too.
And then about 8 years ago, I went off on my own, and I do government relations on various infrastructure parties, particularly in Miami-Dade County.
Very good. Welcome.
Thank you.
Congratulations for the appointment. Thank you. A.J. Myers.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I just want to say that I'm blessed to have the opportunity to continue to serve in the community, having left the Housing Finance Authority Board to join this esteemed board, the Miami-Dade Expressway Authority. For myself, I am not a native Miamian. I've been here 11 years and I'm married to a Cuban Puerto Rican, and as such, I am now a native Miamian.
You know how to pick well.
And yes, I do. She keeps me in line. But I have a 4.5-month-old baby boy that many of you will know very well soon enough. My career started at FIU. I'm a 2-time offender of FIU with degrees in construction management. And I had the opportunity at a very early age to serve on the Board of Governors for Higher Education and the Board of Trustees at FIU, and have always had a commitment to this community, both in the education and transportation arenas. So I have the privilege now, and I'm honored to serve with you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. And congratulations on the baby boy. Mr. Jose Cancio. And if I may, Pepe Cancio.
My name is Jose Pepe Cancio. I came to the United States about 55 years ago. I have been in the ready-mix concrete industry for 50 years. I am retired. That's why, I don't have any conflict of interest. But I know that, the concrete is better than asphalt. Lasts 3 times longer, or 3.5. It's lighter. The car brake better, and you have more miles per gallon. But, I was the chief financial officer of Supermix for the last 25 years. I work in Cuba, Brazil, Arizona, and in California in the ready-mix industry. And now I have my own transportation company. I sold my interest with my partners last week. That means that they're going to have more time, for this. I was a community council elected in '96. Was the only one who stayed for 4 years. Other people went, to the political, like Ralph Arch and some other men. I was appointed a county commissioner by Jeb Bush in 2002. I was able to deliver, the city of Dorado. I ran for mayor about 2.5 years ago, and now the governor of Florida appointed to this position. I am very honored, and I'm going to try to work with the staff, with the people who are here. My ears, they are open. I am very straightforward. If I say something, you are able to take to the bank. If I give my handshake, also is other bond. But I am here to try to learn and work with each and every one of here. But I am my priority to be advocate for the resident and user of MDX Expressway Authority. Thank you very much.
Very much to all the new members, and welcome. And you're right, Mr. Cancio. Not only you are here to advocate for the toll payers and the people of Miami-Dade County, but each and every one of us, because we also pay tolls. We're here to protect their interests and make sure that we protect future generations and stakeholders alike. And with that, I'd like to move on to citizens' comments. If there's anybody from the member of the public that would like to speak, now is the time to come and address us. I see no show of hands, which means that today we have no citizens' comment. And with that, we continue to move forward, and we go with approval of the summary minutes. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
Move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? May be recorded as such. We continue on with the Executive Director's report.
Madam Chair, thank you and good afternoon. And again, I express my welcome to the 3 new board members, Mr. Cancio, Mr. Meyer, and Mr. Walters. Thank you for the time you've given us, and I look forward to continuing to work with you to serve this community. Before I get into my report, Madam Chair, as customary, we're welcoming 3 new board members, but we also want to give a token of appreciation to our former treasurer. And we've changed it up a little bit, and we've put together a proclamation of appreciation. And if you would allow
Finally,
me,
it's worthy
it's
of
different,
distinction.
right? It's different. It's a little
Finally.
bit. We changed it up a little bit. But if I'd like, it's got a number of whereases. He served as a volunteer on the MDX board, as all of you serve as volunteers, I guess, except Mr. Pago and myself, right? But we recognize the importance that he recognized the importance of advancing critical infrastructure improvement projects in Miami-Dade County for the long-term economic growth and well-being of our community. And during his tenure, he attained major financial milestones, including the implementation of a debt management plan, the financial best practices yielding a positive outlook rating from Moody's rating agencies when the whole industry was down, achievement of a present value savings of $75 million and lowering overall debt service by $95 million, reduction of the variable rate debt exposure from 16% to 6%, and that is astonishing. And we wanted to recognize him for his exceptional leadership and contributions during his tenure as a member of the Board of Directors. So on behalf of the board and staff, we wanted to recognize Mr. Carlos Fernandez Guzman.
That's right.
AJ, good luck. Louis, pleasure. Well, encantado. That's it?
If we can join to the front.
No, yo creo que allergies, yo no puedo do it.
Just a couple of words real quick. First of all, it's been my honor and privilege to serve on this board. This is a board that should really recognize the importance that it has to this community and remember that reality is that we have a fiduciary responsibility representing the users of the system. So I will tell you that the staff of this agency, we should every day of the week thank the Lord for the kind of staff that we have. Marie, Ellen, Javier, Francine, I can go on and on and on, Steve, and Juan, Mario, I mean, it's just amazing. The leadership of this group and the difficult decisions that they've made, you're not supposed to be popular. You're supposed to be efficient and effective. You're not supposed to be liked. You're supposed to be respected. Difficult, and those are the decisions you'll have to make. Congratulations to all of you for serving. Congratulations to the newcomers on the board. You'll have a lot of fun. I saw it already starting. It's going to be an interesting time. And I will tell you that I will never forget my 4 years here. It was a time to remember. If I can ever be of assistance, I'm a phone call away, but not as a board member, please. So, thank you.
For letting us do that.
It was awesome. He will be missed.
Continuing with my report, I'd like to give the board a status on House Bill 989 and Senate Bill 1276, which were introduced in legislation this year. House Bill 989 has passed the House Transportation Committee, and today passed the Transportation and Economic Development Appropriations Committee with no amendments. The Senate bill, which is identical, passed the Senate Transportation Committee last week and is scheduled to go before the second committee next week. We have been working with both sponsors and fielding their questions, and there has been discussion of potential amendments. We haven't seen them yet, so when we get those amendments, we will communicate it to the board and get your input on those. As it stands right now, the bills that are proposed are identical to the beginning. It reduces the size of the board from 13 to 9. 4 appointed by the county commission, 4 by the governor and the district secretary. That makes it 9. It restricts the membership on the board and work that's been done with any municipal government or any government agency, and it also imposes certain ethical standards to MDX. That if you don't file your financial disclosures and you get a 90-day grace period, you're automatically removed by statute. And those are the provisions of the bills that are presented today. Miami-Dade County, Jess McCarty, on behalf of the County Commission, advocated for the majority of the board to remain in Miami-Dade County control because of the home rule issue. And that's the only comments on those bills. I do want to, before I get to my last subject, I do want to give the board, and especially the new board members, a rundown of the commitments that we've made to this community in the last 2.5 years. Yes, it has been difficult to implement new tolls or close the system on 836 and 112. But when we went through that process, and we looked at the various rates that we can apply. One of the elements and the key elements of that was, if we're going to raise X amount of money, what are we going to spend it on? We were very transparent to the community of what we were going to deliver. We highlighted 5 major projects, 4 in construction and 1 in design. And I want to give you a summary of where we are, because we went live November 15th of 2014, and we're in March 24th of 2015. We've awarded the first major project on 836 between 57th Avenue and 17th Avenue, approximately $149 million. Today, hopefully, we will award the second project, which is the extension of 874 along 128th Street to the Miami Executive Airport. At Operations Committee this month, we approved to advertise the design work of the extension of the Gratigny Parkway west from the Palmetto Expressway to the Florida's Turnpike, a design project that will be approximately $11.7 million. As we discussed at that committee meeting, with the talk of the mega mall or whatever the name of that is, there probably will be pressures to advance that project. And there are provisions in our policies of how we can advance a project of that magnitude. The 2 other projects that we made a commitment to this community was what we call 83629, which is the interchange of 87th Avenue and 836. It's direct access for the cargo area, the west cargo area, onto the expressway system, bypassing Northwest 12th Street and improving the intersection of 87th Avenue and 836, which is a tremendous bottleneck in the city of Doral. That project is fully designed. We're working with the county on some easements, and we look to let it for construction in the summer of this year, 2015. And then the final project, which is the jewel of 836, the final component of 836, 83611 from 17th Avenue to I-95, improving the access to I-95, putting entrances to 95 on the right-hand side rather than the 1-lane ramp on the left, widening the bridge over the Miami River to 4 lanes in each direction, which right now is a bottleneck of 3 lanes, and improving the traffic flow. We're actually working with Florida Department of Transportation to let that project together with the I-395 reconstruction, the signature bridge in downtown, and it'll be a joint letting, and we've pledged our money, and we're going to be working with Secretary Pago and his staff in putting the procurement documents together and the financing package together. As we did on Section 5, the 826, 836, Florida DOT will take the lead on that project, managing it. And as I've had discussions with Secretary Pago, we would like one oversight, construction engineer inspection oversight for that project, even though there's 2 components. Easier to manage, more efficient, and easier to address the concerns that will happen during construction and maintenance of traffic, as in every major project. So commitments made are commitments kept, and as we've seen in the award, in the bids that have come in, it wasn't hypothetical that if we advanced these projects, we would get better pricing, and if we had major competition, we'd get better pricing in shorter time periods. We've seen that, and we foresee that that will continue in the near future. So I wanted to give you an update on that. Another issue that I wanted to talk to you about is traffic. I've been hearing in radio and I've been reading in the paper that our irresponsibility of putting tolls on our expressways has driven cars to the arterial streets, and that we're causing major traffic on the arterial streets parallel to our expressway network. And rather than responding off the cuff, you know, as in any project that we do, we want to gather data so that we can substantiate the response. And in any toll project, you always experience a short period of time where people do avoid the highway, but eventually they come back. So we've taken traffic numbers starting in July of 2014 through the end of February of 2015. And we marked the December, January, and February timeframes because that's when we went live. I'm not sure it's going to be placed on the slide. But what I would like to tell you is that overall on our system, we've seen 3 million more transactions than we had prior to November. And specifically on 836, between December and the end of February, we've seen 1 million more transactions on that highway. So the notion that people are avoiding the highway does not coincide. Are there people leaving the highway on the short trips? There's no question in our mind. CDM Smith and the traffic consultants said that that would happen because on 836 people were getting on at one interchange just to get off the next interchange. Maybe those trips are avoiding it, but for everyone that's getting off, you're getting another person on because the latent demand on 836 is such that, as I said at the strategic planning session, we could put 10 lanes in each direction and it would fill up. It would suck it up from the city streets. That's not the right approach, but I wanted to have these numbers. We'll continue to do month over month and report to the board so you can see the trends on all 5 of our highways. But as we saw in 2010 when we went live on Don Shula, Gratigny, and 878, and the irony was that on 878 we never collected a toll. And everybody said that when you put a toll on 878, people are going to avoid it. They're going to use the city streets. We have more traffic today on 878 than we had before there was a toll on 878. Again, we'll continue to provide you information, but as we get it and we validate it, I don't like to shoot from the hip on this type of information because then it becomes gospel. Okay? The last thing I wanted to talk about is very important in the context of the strategic plan. On Sunday, I'm going to be traveling to Washington, D.C. in my capacity as IBTTA president. This IBTTA conference is called the Washington Briefing. We're going to convene in Washington, D.C. We're going to be meeting with all the toll agencies in the United States. We're going to be advocating the federal government for passing of a long-term federal transportation bill. MAP 21, which is the current federal transportation bill, was extended through May of this year. All indications are that there is not enough support on either of the 2 chambers to do a long-term extension. A lot of the conversation that's going to happen at this briefing and a lot of the conversation that we're going to have with leadership in both chambers in meeting face-to-face is, yes, states are figuring out how to supplement the federal share of transportation infrastructure, but it only supplements. It should never be a replacement. There's always got to be a federal role in transportation investments. States have become very creative throughout the country, and in fact, rather than go through the whole reports, I made copies of 2 reports, one put together by AASHTO, the American Association of Transportation Officials, and another one put together by the National Conference of State Legislatures. Just recently, the Conference of Mayors put out another paper. But what you'll see in here is that in 1993 was the last time the federal gasoline tax was increased. And since 1993 to 2015, the purchasing power of that fuel tax has reduced by 48%. At the same time, our population in the U.S. has grown by 30%. It's projected that by 2020, that purchasing power will be down to 52%. It leaves states with no other choice than to become creative. Fortunately, we live in Florida, and fortunately, we've had great Department of Transportation historically, and we've had wonderful governors who have set the course for investment of infrastructure. Florida's portfolio is diversified when it comes to transportation. It only depends on 25% share from the federal pot. With that said, Florida is also very fortunate that it has many transportation agencies taking care of the urbanized areas, and it allows the state to look at more regional implementation. So I give you that information because you're going to hear me, you're going to read press releases in my capacity, and I don't like to surprise anyone, but that is the context. Take my hat off as an MDX person, put it on as an advocate for transportation, and I will advocate for investment in infrastructure. It's the right thing to do. It's a lasting improvement in your communities. So with that, Madam Chair, I conclude my report, and any questions I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you very much. It's open. Member Bakke.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Our director mentioned, one of the sound bites that we're hearing about whether people are leaving our highway or not into the adjacent roadways. Another sound bite that we're hearing is the need to see projects now and no more long-range planning and rhetoric, and I applaud our community for going that route. But what I wanted to do is go a little bit out of my way to commend Fausto Gomez. I watched the Senate Transportation Committee meeting the other day, and I thought he did an outstanding job in reminding everybody that was watching and in reminding our legislature that when this board closed the system, we, in essence, allowed for the completion of projects in an expedited basis that would have otherwise taken 8 years. And it was a tremendous sign of good faith to finish commitments that were made by this community and by our state legislators with regards to the tunnel and the mix. So I wanted to publicly commend Fausto Gomez and the group that's representing us in Tallahassee, because that was something that needed to be said, and it was, I think, very, very well taken. Thank you.
Very good. Any other members would like to add?
Madam Chair, if I could just add to what Mr. Vasquez said. Not only did Fausto do a tremendous job in that committee meeting, but he also referenced the fact that this now puts us on par at 17 cents per mile with Orlando and Tampa at 16 cents per mile. So I thought that was another great fact that he had brought up in that committee meeting to add. Thank you.
Absolutely. Anyone else would like to address? No questions? Now, as always, Fausto does an excellent job in representing the facts and being a good advocate of MDX, because Fausto is an advocate of MDX. Although he is a registered lobbyist, like now the word lobbyist seems to be a bad word, he's actually an advocate because he's not commissioned or hired to bring funds to MDX, because MDX sole funding up to this point has been the tolls. We're very happy he's fighting the fight and basically addressing the facts, but remember, the wisdom of those in powers is basically what ends up happening. But perception is not always reality, and it's up to us to address it and clean it up. I do have a question for you. We closed the system. We raised the toll 10 cents. And we made a promise to the bondholders and our stakeholders, which really are our toll payers. The promise that we made, 5 programs, they're currently now being awarded 2 already. Tell me a little bit more. And then my last question is going to be, I really want Steve to come back and give us a statistical overview of basically 10 people, what are they actually paying, maximum paying in our system on a monthly basis? Because I, too, hear the background noise, and I've heard people say $200 coming out from Hialeah, you know, X amount of dollars. I hear that, and I'm concerned, and I'd like to know the facts. So if there is a situation, maybe we need to address it and see why those people have not signed up to our discount program. But if there is that, the key is let's just learn with facts. So,
Madam Chair, to answer the question, when we made the decision whether to make it 60 cents or 70 cents, the 70 cents generated $52 million of additional revenue annually above what we were already making. That $52 million had a bonding capacity. That bonding capacity, what was very clear at the community is that, why are you raising this money? Why do you need it? We listed these projects specifically, and we said what these projects would cost. And the 5 that I said to you are the ones that we're fulfilling. If you look at this, this isn't planning studies. This isn't spending money. These are going to construction. We pride ourselves in putting the majority of our dollars into construction. We also pride ourselves in design build as our means of delivery, because time is money, and that method of delivery is one that we've shown. So to answer your question, the $52 million that we bonded and issued bonds last fall, those are the commitments that are being made, and as of today, if you approve this award today, we will have already committed over 290 million of the 360 that we bonded out. So.
okay, thank you. Any questions from the executive director? Yes, Vice Chair.
So does that mean, Mr. Director, if we have already or will have put out for award 270 and our bond issue is 360, is it time then for us to go to market with the remaining $200 million?
Mr. Vice Chair, if you recall, when we did the debt management plan, one of the pillars of this board was to try and reduce our debt. And if I can explain it, rather than going and leveraging 100% of the new revenues, we only leveraged about 70% of it. And we said that we would allow, on a pay-as-you-go basis, cash basis, to pay the other 30%. So rather than, you know, mortgaging 100% of the house, we're mortgaging 70, and we're going to use the other 30% as pay-as-you-go. So it's a better money management, fund management tool, and more responsible from a debt management standpoint.
So even though we do know that interests are going to be substantially higher in the next 2-3 years, you think that the cash flow will be sufficient with this $360 million, that will be able to complete the full funding without having to go to market for the remaining amount that has been approved?
For these projects, yes. For new projects, we would have to consider going out to the market.
I see. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? With that, we move forward and General Counsel's report.
Madam Chair, I have two matters to report. The first is on item C of the agenda is our shade meeting. I'd like to advise that Joe Sirota from Weiss Sirota is here, and Michael Arnstein, he's in the third row. They're both here ready to move forward with that. And the second matter is the MCM bid protest update. Following our procedures, we have a mediation on April 1st, which is next week.
April Fool's Day.
Yes, and for the members, for the new members, this is our 5th bid protest in 18 years.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Have we won the other 4?
Yes, we have.
I think it's important to put that on the record.
Yes.
Yeah. And the other thing that I have for you is this is binding arbitration.
No.
It is non-binding arbitration.
It's non-binding arbitration.
So in other words, that if the people that are putting us through this feel that they want to continue, they can then go to court next.
That's correct.
Is the what happens at arbitration admissible in court?
No.
Just for clarification, if I may, Madam Chair, this is a mediation, not an arbitration that's going on next week.
Excuse me, mediation, yes.
Just to clarify that.
Mediation.
It's a mediation next week.
Yes, I have mediation down here, but I said arbitration. I'm sorry, it's mediation.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
That's okay, Counsel. I just wanted to make sure it was clear that this is not an arbitration, it's a mediation next week. Thank you. No problem, Mr. Mayor.
One little word can mean a whole lot of different things. Very good. Does that conclude your presentation?
Yes, it does.
We move forward with the MPO representative, Vice Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, once again, the MPO, due to a lack of a quorum or for whatever reasons, did not meet and postponed the meeting. This is a recurring item. I do want to make just 2 brief comments on this. One is that there is a strong move afoot to reform the MPO. And I think the Chamber of Commerce in Miami-Dade County is behind it. I think that a lot of people that are in the county commission, including the new transportation chair, Steve Bobo, the new Miami-Dade County chair, from Mr. Cancio's experience and for the 4 years that I was on the county commission, and the MPO was changed after that. The county commission has a long tradition of totally ignoring the MPO, and I think what occurs is that a lot of things that should be dynamic and moving and getting done don't get done. The reason why I mentioned earlier that Orlando and Tampa are getting our money is because those MPOs are very dynamic, they're very disciplined, they're very organized, they're very regional in nature, and united. And they come, and people really spend the time. In other words, it's like MDX. The board really goes there. They pay attention. They're not there to rush out in 15 minutes because they've got a haircut appointment or whatever. And those MPOs work. Our MPO does not work. Now, the last thing that I wanted to say was that we're now in the process of searching for a new MPO director. And I think it's a very important development, and I will keep you appraised as to how that's going. There's a search committee, professional search company has been retained, and of course the chair of the MPO, Chairman Monestein, and the other members that comprise that committee are working very diligently, and I think it's an important move. Thank you, Madam Chair.
That's good. Thank you very much. The treasurer's report, and we're going to turn it over to our CF. Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The treasurer's report, for the benefit of the new board members as well as for the public, the treasurer's report is a comparison of the actual results year to date to the budget itself. Our revenue is made up of 98% toll and fee revenue. Just to give you a little bit more understanding of our toll revenue, we recognize revenue in a different methodology than the traffic performance, as Mr. Rodriguez had explained earlier. We do not recognize our toll-by-plate customers until we actually generate a bill. So there is a lag in the revenue recognition, which obviously affects the results. So the Treasurer's report is for the 7-month period for February. Overall revenue is $104.7 million, and that is down 6%. And the main component of why it's down 6% is there is a delay on the implementation of the ramps, which was included in our forecast, as well as the delay in the billing generation. So that's the rationale as to why there's a difference between the forecast. On the expense side, the expenses are broken down into 3 components: operation, maintenance, and administration. Operation pretty much is in line to the overall budget, about 6% below the budget. Major initiatives on the operation side, they continue to refine the operation systems on the previous conversion. I think they're almost complete on that. Our maintenance is about 3% below the budget as well. The major initiatives on the maintenance side, they're concentrating obviously on maintaining the roadway in the manner in which is set out in our policies, as well as some safety initiatives. Administration side overall, our salary, tax, and benefits are 3% below the budget as well. On other general administration, professional services, the only thing that really stands out is our legal expense. Obviously, we have an ongoing litigation. So overall expenses about 5% below our budget, so we will continue to manage our expenses accordingly. Interest expense is 7% below the budget as well, and that's mainly due to the fact that we refunded the variable debt back in September. So overall, our net revenue we posted for the 7-month period is $38 million.
Good. Thank you so much. Are there any questions from Ms. Schaefer? Yes, Mr. Cancio.
Let me ask you something. The toll billing generation, if I go through one of the gentry, that billing is supposed to be at the end of the month. But in some cases, you know, I have a transportation company, and sometimes we have been receiving some billing 2 months after the fact. And I work with owner-operators, and the owner-operators, sometimes they go, and later on the person who have to pay the bills is my company because the people, they're gone.
Steve?
I'm going to defer to our operations director.
Board member, yes, the process of the image review could delay the billing up to 2 months. And that is to be able to go through the process of ensuring that that is the license plate, the correct information. We check with SunPass to ensure that you don't have an account and we missed it by some reason or another. So there is a delay of up to 2 months. The expectation, though, is that it's done instantaneously if it's through the automated process. So that would take about a week.
And the other thing that, you know, looking at the MDX, you know, in the webpage, I was looking that we have maybe some program that you are able to, if you enroll, you are able, you know, to have some saving. But I think that, you know, coming from the outside, I think that we have to have more publicity. We have to have more publicity. Maybe the people have to go to the radio. Maybe we have to talk with the people, because many people, they don't know that if you go and you enroll in that program, you are able to save some money. And I think that it's very important for this board, for this MDX authority, to be able, to convey with the user the benefit that they're going to have. Because sometimes the people, they are complaining, but they don't have the benefit that you're able to obtain through some, this morning, in the radio, the people that were talking, but, if you go, or maybe the director that is a very, very well educated, very smart, and a very nice talking, that is able to speak in English and Spanish, maybe we're able to have, in one of the Bernadette Pardo or Ninoska and some of the Michael Putney, I think going to be with Helen Aguirre, it's something that the people are going to learn and are going to be much better for everyone that they are here.
Point well taken. You want to address, because I know that we do have a program in place regarding advertising, that we go out and we speak about the projects. Is that underway? Is that currently playing?
Yeah, actually, we've purchased time on radio for the last few months. What we've tried not to do is to just occupy space on the radio, just to talk. So what we've done is we've timed it so that we can speak about something. We, during the holidays, for obvious reasons, said let's not waste dollars and buy radio time. Let's wait till we award major projects on 836 and on 874, and then let's go back out to the radio. And I believe this week we're starting again with the radio, and it's actually today, starting today, getting clarified. But the point is that when we go on the radio, we're going to speak about something concrete. Here are the projects. This is what you can expect. These are the changes that you're going to anticipate on the roadway. This is the amount of people that are getting jobs. This is how you can contact us. And we always put in that you can sign in for the discount program. The issue is, Mr. Cancio, is that I get numerous calls because we put out 280,000 leaflets, direct mailers to SunPass customers in the districts most affected in West Dade. And the majority of people call me, take a picture of it, and ask me if it's a scam. Because so many people are worried about so many folks that are taking advantage of programs. So I get the text through a friend of a friend of a friend saying, is this legitimate? Yes, sign up. And then they go ahead and sign up. Our sign-ups have grown in exponentially over the last month. We also made it available to fleets and to governments and to municipalities, and we're working closely with them so they can sign up their fleets. So we will continue to report on that.
When is the deadline, the closing deadline?
I believe we extended it to
March 31st.
March 31st.
Oh, so we only have like till next week. So that means the board members too, since we all pay tolls, that we should also register so we can get some benefits, right? Can we register too?
Everybody can register for it. We do pay tolls. That's another thing
Exactly,
I had to clarify.
we all pay tolls.
I actually had to clarify this week with a news outlet who was under the impression that the board members and staff had non-revenue transponders, that you somehow got free tolls. So we had to clarify that.
Okay, it's good to know,
And was
because
that
if it
clarified
was
with the-
free, I wanted to know why I'm still being billed for
Billed,
it.
yes.
Yeah. My American Express is getting the charges because I pay a lot of tolls, because I love the I-95 lane. Yes. Board Member Fano.
Is there a possibility to extend the deadline maybe another month? Because there's only another week, and I don't know that we've maximized our capture of advantaged customers.
Let's ask
I think that's something that,
if we want to extend the deadline to like the end of April.
I think the board would have to take a board action. Our policy does provide for a deadline. I don't see any problem with that. I think that when we're required under the trust indenture to submit to the governing board by April 20th. So I suggest that, if we want to extend it till April 15th, we can estimate our best estimate on what the impact would be.
Your taxes by then?
And this is the one that gives you a break.
If I may, Madam Chair, I would like to make a motion to extend the deadline to April 15th per recommendation from Marie.
Ask a question?
Yes.
Is there a limitation for us to extend the report from, say, April 20th to May 20th, so we can give an additional month to people to sign up? Is there?
I would have gone to June.
But I'm just going to see if there's if we're limited to be able to do that entirely. Is there some limitation to that?
It's really a budgeting issue. We can put our best estimate in there. I don't see that if you want to extend it till the end of May 31st, that's fine. I would recommend, though, that we do have a final budget in place before June 30th, though.
That's fine. So if you don't mind my friendly amendment to your motion there.
I encourage it.
Okay, so why don't we extend it to the end of April with them reporting to us at our May board meeting? Is that acceptable to staff? That's
Okay,
fine. Yeah.
hold on a second.
Mr. Martinez?
When are you scheduled to come before us with the budget?
Depends upon the new treasurer.
With your
Well,
guidance
there's going to be
for the
an
new
election
treasurer.
today. Usually it's in April or in May?
I think the anticipation is we have a couple of items, some to include everything in the one budget and finance. So we would have a workshop in May and hopefully be able to take it to the board in May as well.
Okay, so then let's regroup this for May. Okay, let's regroup for May. So I'm going back to the maker of the motion, and we're going to do this.
So what date is feasible for everything involved?
May 15th?
Why don't we make it April 30th for the...
I thought we said May.
No, April 30th, and then they report to us on May 15th.
That way it can come back in the budget already. Remember, this is a budget item.
Okay.
Whatever money is being considered, it's got to be included in the budget.
Okay,
'Cause
so
it's a discount program.
I'm going to remake the motion.
You're going to remake the motion to
that the
extended
Advantage
to
program
be extended to May 30th?
April 30th.
April.
April 30th, correct?
Yeah, so the open
April.
enrollment will be extended to April 30th.
Correct. And that the report that was due on April 20th will now be extended to be due on May 20th, or May 15th, that's fine.
Well, we will submit as required under April 20th, under the trust indenture requirements. We'll
Okay.
just update it again in May.
Perfect.
So,
Council, you
I'll
got the way
second
the
that
motion is going to be?
Yeah, I think you're making two motions.
No, it's
Why
one
don't you do the
combined.
Motion.
What, pardon me?
It was one motion, sir.
I know, but yeah, it would be cleaner if we did, make the motion
But it
to
wasn't
extend to April
seconded.
30th, and then do the other motion
Okay.
and then have votes on each one.
Okay, then we'll do two motions, that's fine. So the first
Okay.
motion is to extend the open enrollment to April 30th. I second Ms. Fano's motion for that.
Okay, there's a
Ma'am?
motion, there's a second?
Just out of simplicity, her motion was never seconded?
Right.
Dies?
Oh, I
Let's
seconded
just
it.
go to your...
No.
Oh, you want to do mine? Okay. My motion is to extend the open enrollment to April 30th.
Second. That's it. It's one clean motion. We're getting exactly what you
You
want.
just changed the maker. It's okay.
Oh, you don't want him to be the maker?
Mr. Martinez.
I was seconding her motion. Just
Okay, Louis Martinez, let's relax.
We all know
Let's
whose
give it
idea
to Mrs. Fano.
Absolutely.
Ms.
I
Fano,
was just
she's the
giving her a
maker of the
suggestion.
motion, April 30th, to extend the program and the open enrollment. Are you seconding?
Absolutely.
Okay, there is a motion, there is a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against may be recorded. Congratulations to the toll payers. Hey, we got more time.
But now we need to educate.
Now,
Sure you say it in your programs.
Madam Chair.
And can we use the signs to post it? Those signs, those beautiful signs on 17th, on the gantry on 17th?
no.
The digital sign? We should?
Now, Marie, a question. Do we need to do a second motion for the report on the 20th and then for us?
No,
to-
sir.
We're okay with that? Okay.
So for clarification to the new board members, for clarification to the new board members, the trust indenture says that we have to prepare a draft, a budget and send it to you by April 20th. What we will do is we will prepare it and we will estimate what this program could cost based on the signups and based on giving us ourselves some leeway. When the closing happens on the 30th, by the time we have our workshop, we will update that line item at the workshop, and you could take a vote at the May board meeting. So I just want to be very clear of how the mechanics will work, okay?
Madam Chair, I have a question. Hello?
Please, yes, please address us.
Oh, thank you. Javier, now that we've extended the deadline, question on where have we publicized that on print and any additional costs that we may incur now republishing. How's that going to work, maybe you or Mario? How visible has that deadline been?
Board Member Luz, we have done several advertorials with regards to not only the projects but also the MDX Advantage program. Those appeared in the community newspapers, which have various publications on almost all municipalities within our county. We've also had an advertorial earlier this year, I believe, in the Herald, and we've been mentioning it in radio shows on 670 AM and Univision Radio, as well as Radio Mambi on Spanish radio, since November of 2014, with a regular programming that we have on a weekly basis. We've also had, we've also published it via social media sites on Facebook and Twitter, and we've had it on our website since December for the platinum level for the rebate since December of 2014.
But we can't take back radio, obviously, or print. Social media is easy. How else do we want to communicate this extension, which I think is a great extension? Will give me time to register myself. How do you want to do that? All means is the same?
With the extension now of the program, we'll evaluate what are the highest efficiencies that we can put out and get the most ROI on return of investment. How do we get the most eyes looking at this extension and allowing for people to sign up? So we'll evaluate that quickly within the next few days, and if we can implement anything, we will do it as quickly as possible.
Great, thank you. Would you then send us a notice as you usually do, Mario, once you figure that out?
I'm sorry, you were breaking up.
Send us a notice is what she's saying.
Yes, I will send it to the board and let them know what the next steps will be.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. A press release should be prepared that there is an extension, and perhaps, did we not send it to the SunPass customers? So you did know? Yes,
we have had an email blast, and thank you for pointing that out, Chairwoman. We've had email blasts to all SunPass customers in Miami-Dade County, and just recently, SunPass sent out direct mailers to more than 210, upwards of 210,000 residents within Miami-Dade County, particularly those in the west corridors of the county that are most affected and most benefited.
I think that's important. The key is to go back to the SunPass customers, because the end results, they are the ones that get the benefit. Yes. Steve.
Madam Chair, I'd like to add also, I think that Mario went even one step further and addressed our customers that deal with the toll by plate side and informed them, because we have direct access to them. We mail them an invoice. So he's putting an insert to those mailers, letting them know, here's the better way to travel, and that's with the SunPass. And not only that, but you get the Advantage program and get a discount.
Very good.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Mario, I'd like to publicly thank you for this report that you've generated, and on the back of it, you've gone over the budget and expenditures to date. And if I read this correctly, and I'm not an accountant, but it does appear that we are way under budget. So in answer to what Ms. Weinberg was alluding to, we do have budget. It's not like we're going over budget. There appears to be, in each one of these components, areas where you can use this money.
We will have budget.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Thank you.
I would like to ask Mario if you would meet with Mr. Cancio and go over this report, because I think it's important that he, since he's new, and since he's brought up the subject of Bernadette Pardo and this and the other in other words, how are we reaching out? How much money are we spending? What are the results? What are the Nielsen report? In other words, what's the hard data on it?
Not a problem, and I'll be open to meet with anybody who'd like to receive a full briefing.
Very good. Like I said, we have to give patience a little bit to getting embedded into the system. You'll see that a lot of things are happening at one time. Yes.
Maybe I live in Key Biscayne. I have, I paid a little more to receive, that report, because I have my sister and some other family of me in my American Express, but I haven't received any news about, this program, and I would like to know maybe to save some money.
Very good. Well noted. Well noted. He will be fully briefed.
Yeah, I think it's important. Key Biscayne is not part of our system. That's something else. Yeah. That's different. If you go to Medley and you use MDX, then I think you should register and get the discount.
Marie, anything you would like to add?
Not at this time.
Okay. Any other questions from the board on this item, the treasurer's report? Okay. Is there a motion to approve?
Go ahead.
Got a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against?
Aye.
May be recorded. So it carries. Motion carries. We move on to the consent agenda. Let's go.
So move. Okay. Travel approval, April 8th, April 2015, trip to Tallahassee, Florida by board members and Executive Director Rodriguez to attend the Miami-Dade County Days in Tallahassee. May 7th through the 8th, 2015, trip to Jacksonville, Florida by board members and Executive Director Rodriguez to attend the Team Florida Quarterly Meeting.
Okay, I have a motion. Is there a second on this item? Second. Anyone against? No? Motion carries. Very good. We move on to the regular agenda.
Item A, MDX procurement contract RFP-15-02, MDX work program number 87410, State Road 874 ramp connector to Southwest 128th Street, endorsed by Operations Committee on March 17, 2015. Approval of eminent domain parcels, resolutions number 15-01 through resolution numbers 15-13.
Where is Percival today? You see, we should have sent him a note. Where is Percival today? Huh.
Actually, I think we did.
Okay. There's an item, there's a motion? Do I hear a motion?
As the chairman of the operations, I will move this item in.
Very good. Is there a second? Very good. I have a motion and a second. The item is now open for discussion.
Madam Chair, Director Toledo can address any comments or questions that you have on this particular item.
Well done.
Thank you.
You don't have any questions? Did you hear what you got from the vice chair? Well done.
Great project.
Anything else to that, or you're just taking all the glory?
I'm just waiting to see if you want me to...
No, go ahead and tell us. Why is this important?
Basically, these are partial resolutions that are required for the ongoing property acquisition on this project. We are currently negotiating with the property owners that are listed in the partial resolutions. Eminent domain process would only begin if negotiations fail. The approval of these parcels allow us to continue forward with the construction and ensure that we don't delay the advancement of this project.
Any questions?
Madam Chair, I think if this thing passes, that one should draft a letter for your signature and the executive director's signature to Mr. Percival, thanking him for his initiative and to show him that the MDX board does pay attention to the intelligent input of people.
Mr. Vice Chair, I believe
This was discussed
in the next item as well.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
But that was discussed at the operations meeting as well.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. Seeing no other questions, the question is called. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Motion carries. B?
Item B, MDX procurement contract RFP-15-02, MDX work program 87410.030, design build services for State Road 874 ramp connector to Southwest 128th Street, $41,204,000, endorsed by the Operations Committee on March 17th, 2015. Approval of contract award.
Madam Chair, Helen Cordero can walk us through this procurement.
First, I'm going to open the item. Is there a motion?
As chairman of the operations committee, we approved this item unanimously. I will move it into...
Is there a second? The item is now open for discussion. Let's keep going.
Thank you, Madam. This is the approval of the, to enter into a contract with the Moya Group, which was ranked #1 for a not-to-exceed contract amount of $41,204,000. MDX released an RFP requiring or soliciting qualified firms to provide design build services for the project. MDX received 5 proposals from the firms of Condote America, Munilla Construction Management, Autobreak Construction, Prince Contracting, and the Moya Group. All proposals were found to be responsive in compliance with the requirements of the RFP. The Technical Evaluation Committee met on March 15th to evaluate and score the technical proposals, as well as to open the price proposals. As detailed in the RFP, the selection was going to be based on the lowest adjusted score, which was calculated using the technical scores, as well as the design build price proposals. The Moya Group was ranked #1 with the highest technical score and the lowest price proposal. Staff conducted compliance review of the 2 highest ranked proposals after opening of the price proposals and found them to be in compliance. In addition, a general engineering consultant also performed a price proposal analysis and found that the Moya Group price proposal, the lowest bidder, was reasonable and that the price was reasonable in order to complete the project. This contract has a 15% small business participation requirement as well as a 15% local business participation requirement. The contract time is 1,095 calendar days, and the not-to-exceed contract amount is $41,204,000. This is one of the projects that our executive director was referring to in his report earlier, part of the commitment made to the community.
Absolutely. Fast track in the ground. Very good. There's a motion and a second. Are there any questions from the board?
I just have a simple comment, if I may, Madam Chair. It's important to note that we came in, the winning bid here is going to be 25% lower, approximately $13,125,000 lower than what our estimated budget was going to be on this project. Wow. And all of the bids of all of the successful proposals were all under budget as well. And I think that is an indication on how strongly we advocate saving our clients' money and using it as wisely as possible as well.
Very good point. Yes, Mr. Cancia.
You know, Friday in the afternoon when I spoke with the director, I asked that, you know, that the estimate of the MDX was $53,100,000, and the lower bid came, you know, about 20-something% lower, and the average of the other came about 14% lower. And he explained me that, you know, that they use, you know, something like, you know, the FDOT, and it was I was very glad that, you know, at least he explained to me, because some people was on the budget and was good. And also I would like to know about, you know, the 15% participation. What is the average? Is the salary, is it David Beacon, or is the Miami-Dade County minimum salary? Because really I don't know.
As far as salary on the construction?
We don't have, we don't adhere to Davis-Bacon since we're not using federal monies. So we don't have wage rates. The small business program is consistent with the Miami-Dade County small business certification. So we adopted that as our small business policy, and that's what we go by.
And Board Member Concio, we recently met with the chairman of the County Commission, who has an agenda to ensure equality with wage rates. So we've had conversations with his staff of potentially putting in the county ordinance component for the wage rates into. We did explain to him, though, that in our work, it's high skill. A lot of it is high skill on the expressway, so they understood that part of it.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Comment. Executive Director, you stated earlier that we have delivered about $270 million of the projects. I think, you know, sorry?
Committed, not delivered.
Committed. Thank you for the clarification.
Awarded at this time.
Yes. Yep, or soon to be awarded, right? How does that translate into actual jobs? Because I think we tend to overlook, you know, the commitment of this. You know, we're quick to be criticized about what we're doing here, but the people that are being employed by these projects would probably not be a strong critic of our decision, because we really are spending significant amount of dollars in our community. That's the intent of this authority, is to keep the monies locally. But I think of those individual families that are be grateful and are probably waiting for this moment for the Moya Group and subsequent awards, because they know that they're going to be making contributions to their family. So any numbers that you can, in general terms, talk about?
The calculator off the top of my head, but he does, and he can calculate the number of jobs created by the dollars that we award.
Yep.
And it's the job years is what they calculate.
Before you answer that, I just think it's important for us to note, and I hope that the people that are hearing this in this room, outside this room, how it gets repeated is that when we make a decision in this committee, we also look at human lives. It's not just because we're paying for tolls just like everybody else, but we also recognize our contribution to our volunteer jobs. And I know I, for one, go home feeling good about these decisions because I know that I am contributing to the economic development of this community and people's lives. So, Mr. Toledo?
Mr. Pina, when we approved the work program back in July of last year, we stated that this work program, these projects would generate, we estimated that it would generate just under 14,000 jobs here in Miami-Dade County. I think that the award of these last two this project and the one that we did last month would generate somewhere probably 40% of that number. So by the approval of these two projects, getting those out and getting those awarded and getting those started now, we're looking at about 6,000 jobs, with the remaining already in procurement and development to get done before the end of the year.
Thank you. Madam Chair, if I may, to Mario, in our marketing efforts, I think that's something that should be related to the community of the impact and decisions that are being made with that in mind. So I don't know how we communicate that to in our advertising, marketing, and communications of what we're accomplishing here, and not just the fact that we're having to pay for additional tolls.
At the direction of the board, when the work program was first approved, the focus when discussing the projects or any of the materials is jobs, 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 and local jobs, jobs, jobs. So at every chance that we get, and we have numerous amount of community events, not just through the media, but actually one-on-one communications with the community. In your report just this month, we've activated 1,809 SunPass accounts. What I've estimated in the bottom, based on our experiences, for every one SunPass activation we have at one of these events, we're actually speaking to about 4 different people. And we are always stressing what job creation we're doing within the community and what the economic benefits are and what the promises are made, and that the board has been keeping throughout this entire time. And it's been shown. The community is responding, and they're starting to understand that.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Very good point. Any other questions?
Yes, Madam Chair. A quick question, although it won't hinder my vote. I am curious to know the savings from the 4 items which resulted in the lowest bid that's specified on page 3 of 3, and that can occur after the board meeting, but I'd like to have that information. Thank you.
But in a nutshell, to answer the question, and Mr. Toledo would love to get in more detail with you, Mr. Meyer, and Board Member Cancio, because it'll further explain my answer. This is the essence of design build. You create a base project, and you allow the industry to get creative, efficient, and give you the best price and proposal. And these 4 things, these 4 items that the general engineering consultant itemized is why this group was able to go lower. But they can get into a lot more.
And the $13 million means it goes back into the kitty. It's not expended.
Correct.
That means there's more money available for other projects.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Most definitely.
Right. So I have a motion and a second. All those in favor on this item?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone against? The item carries. Congratulations to the DeMoya. And with that, we're going to turn to item C, which council is going to run us through. But we have an opportunity today that there is an open seat in the executive team, which is the authority's treasurer. And so you're going to walk us through how do we go about it and...
Yeah, first I'd like to put on the record that we are voting to replace our former treasurer, Carlos Fernandez Guzman. Mr. Fernandez-Guzman's term would end June 30th, so the newly elected treasurer will serve out his term. We have 11 members present. We have 2 members on the phone. According to the Attorney General opinions, the members on the phone can vote because we have a quorum present. I'd like to briefly go over the rules. I will open the floor for nominations for treasurer. Board members can nominate themselves or another board members. Members do not need to be present to be nominated. Our bylaws require that we have a second for any nomination, which is a little different from Robert's rules. After the nomination period is closed, the nominees can make a statement or not, and the board members can ask the nominees questions if they desire. After the statements and questions, we can move into a discussion period. The board feels that it needs to be discussed. When the discussion is completed, we move right into voting. Voting, we have an official ballot. We need to keep a tally for the record, for the public record. Pursuant to the Sunshine Law, we can fill them out and the board secretary read them out for the record, which includes which member voted for whom. If only one member is nominated, we can have an oral vote by acclamation. Any questions on that? Okay, therefore I open the floor for nominations.
If I may. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
Remember.
I wanted to go ahead and nominate Mr. Rick Pena.
I will second that.
What was the name again?
Wait. The almost new board member, Rick Pena.
Oh, okay.
He's got a second. He's got a second. Yes.
Any more nominations? Seeing no more, I close the nominations period. Mr. Pena?
Javier wanted to.
Oh, I didn't see it.
Vasquez wanted to say something.
I was just going to say on the record that I, too, was prepared to make a similar motion for the sake of continuity order, and I think Mr. Rodriguez-Pena, with what we saw today, as it relates to his chairmanship of the Technology Committee, is going to do a great job. So I didn't want the floor to be closed without that comment. Thank you.
Okay, so I jumped the gun. Is that what's going on?
Well, I think we're in the discussion period already. But we jumped over
we
the...
have a lot of people that want you. You see? Very good. Over here?
No, I think we should take a vote of acclamation. And
all right.
Be unanimous.
Can we get a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Could you note for the record it was unanimous?
Congratulations, but congratulations.
It is
you got more work.
I want to thank you for your support. Obviously, I take my commitment seriously, and this would be to further augment my commitment to my public service. So thank you all for the faith that you put in me, and I will work diligently and take on the additional responsibility. So thank you all.
I just hope you come out of this better than Thomas Jefferson did, because now we're learning this is all his fault.
I think Lewis will definitely appreciate that. Very good. All right, really congratulations, and you got a lot of things to do. And with that, we go to item D, and because we moved up in terms of areas, the chair's comments. And today I want you to listen very carefully because I have something for you that staff and I have been working on for a little bit of time, which basically goes back to saying and reaffirming what we have already said before, and we have already established various different policies. But we have not said the following to the people of this community. We have not said that we want to freeze the tolls. We want to freeze the tolls at the rate that we have today based on certain points that we address in our policies. So I just gave you a prefix of what it is that I want to talk about to you because there is a resolution that has been drafted and it has already cleared any and all obstacles that we would have to clear before we present to each and every one of us to consider. So it means we could vote on it, we could proceed with it, because it is a sound resolution that addresses the outcry that the community has and the outcry of some leaders. But it also cements the fact that we will protect our bondholders, we will protect our stakeholders, we will ensure that our system is maintained in a safe and repaired, and that we do establish a protocol, which we already have during policies, that we pay back our debt. There is this misconception in the community that when we raise the tolls, we have this mass available of money, and that is not true. We don't have this mass available of money. The money was bonded and was committed to certain projects. Today, you've seen 2 already that have now been awarded. The first one that is being protested, and the second one that today has been awarded. And we will continue to steadfast put these projects to bed as we did with the commitment. And I just gave you a little overview of what the resolution is, and I know that is going around the room. And I'm going to open it up to Marie to walk us through what the reso says. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, this is proposal resolution 1515, the resolution declaring no future toll rate increases except as provided in this resolution. Clarification of the date of initial consumer price index, CPI, confirmation of the construction of funded projects, provision for manner in which future unfunded projects may be advanced for construction, providing for the serviceability and providing for the effective date. I'll summarize the whereas clause. Whereas MDX is a body that is created by the state of Florida under the Expressway Act, as well as the ordinance of Miami-Dade County, whereas MDX is afforded all rights under the Expressway Act. MDX also received a transfer agreement December of 1996, whereas MDX from time to time updates its 5-year work program, whereas MDX has not increased base toll rates for the past 9 years prior to 836 and 112 conversion of open road tolling, whereas MDX has not adjusted for the consumer price index, notwithstanding the fact that toll policy of 2008 allowed for such adjustment, which has been deferred to each calendar year 2010, 12, 14, and ultimately has not been implemented. Whereas MDX confirms as a policy goal the advancement of the reduction and retirement of the authority's outstanding debt to protect the interests of the consumer as well as the bondholders. Whereas MDX affirms its commitment to the bondholders, its customers, the general public, local and state public officials that MDX is moving forward expeditiously with the procurement and award of infrastructure projects for the completion of 874 access improvements as well as the reconstruction of 836 to alleviate traffic congestion on this important expressway that serves Miami-Dade County economic and employment centers. For the action itself, now therefore be it resolved by the Miami-Dade Expressway Authority, Section 1, it is declared that toll rates in effect on the date of this resolution shall remain in effect without further toll rate increases, except in the following enumerated circumstances. A, as may be required under the trust indenture or the debt management policy for a senior coverage requirement of 1.5. B, system maintenance or safety projects as may be required under the trust indenture as well as the Florida Transportation Commission standards. C, consumer price CPI adjustment. CPI will not be applied until July 1st of 2019. The index for adjustment is to be utilized similar to the state of Florida, which has been enacted by the Florida legislature. And D is pursuant to the provision of Section 4 below. Section 1 is consistent to the action that the board has already taken under the financing plan when we issued debt. It is also consistent to our debt management policy. So nothing in Section 1 is new. Section 2, MDX confirms that the project in the construction phase of the authority's current 5-year work program will be completed. That has already been stated by our executive director earlier in his report. In addition, MDX affirms that the current financing plan funds all the projects within the construction phase of the authority's current 5-year work program through the Bond Series 2014A, as well as net revenue. Again, the board has already taken action on the financing plan when we issued debt. Section 3, MDX affirms that upon the completion of the projects of the authority's current 5-year work program in the construction phase, all net revenue remains after the payment of principal and interest, reserves, renewal and replacement will be economically prudent directed to the retirement of the authority's outstanding debt. Again, that is already included in our debt management policy and our plan. Section 4, projects that add centerline miles or lane miles to the Miami-Dade Expressway system that are not currently funded for construction as of the date of this resolution shall be funded with tolls collected on that segment and/or a combination of any federal, state, or local funds. The funds shall be established in an amount sufficient to fund the principal and interest, along with the operation and maintenance attributed to the new facility or additional construction vehicular movement within the 5-year of opening the new facility. MDX will seek expression of support from the Miami-Dade County or the local municipality where the project is located prior to moving forward with the project and associated new tolling points or toll rate adjustments on the existing system. Should this expression of support not be provided, no further efforts will be to move the project forward to construction. This is consistent to our toll policy as well as our practice procedures on how we go forward to the Miami-Dade County on the MPO as well as our public outreach. So Section 4, there really is nothing new in Section 4. Section 5 is, again, this provision clarifies certain aspects of the toll rate policy. Section 6, should any portion of this resolution be declared invalid, the remaining portion of it shall be in full force. Section 7, this resolution shall take effect upon the adoption. That is the resolution before you.
The item is open for discussion. Very good. I was waiting for you to say that. Yes. There's a motion?
As a second.
No, I need a motion.
Oh, Robert Holland makes
A motion and a second.
I just wanted to confirm what I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I didn't know what the motion
For approval.
The motion to approve.
Correct.
I just wanted to confirm that Section 4, the issue having to do with projects that add center lane miles and the fact that they need to be funded from the tolls collected in those segments, that is not new?
No, that is in our current toll policy for new projects.
Okay.
Verbatim. Yes,
Thank
you.
There is nothing new in this resolution other than the fact that we're putting all the policies together so the public understands that we're not about to toll them away and that we're not going to put this agency in debt, okay, that we can't mismanage and we can't pay it back. We have tolled, we are collecting tolls, we have bonded, we have put projects already in commitment and to work, we have already awarded to, and we're reaffirming the following. We are good stewards. There's no mismanagement here. We are good stewards, and at the same time, we're going to say the following. You know what? We are not going to be tolling you again. We're going to be freezing the toll, and at the same time, we're also saying not until 2019 will there be a CPI increase, and every item in here we have, whether you remember or not, is inconsistent with everything that we've done thus far. But we're reiterating one more thing. Our bondholders, they're going to be repaid. We're going to protect them because that's why we're the policymakers. We are the stewards of this gate. And the key is not going to be thrown away and let anything go, because apparently there is a misconception of there is so much money on the table and MDX has so much money. MDX has a commitment to this community, and it will do what it said it will. Whether or not you were a board member last year when the vote was adopted is irrelevant. The fact that you are a board member today, you are part of MDX, you are part of the commitment and the policy. So you are all stewards of the same commitment that we made then and that we will again repeat and say today. So I'm asking you to consider this and vote yes. Why vote yes? It's the right thing to do for the public.
Madam Chair, if I may, you and I have served on this board now for 10 years. In the 10 years that I have served, and I don't know if Servanto's here for the years before, something as important as this, and I think it is very important, goes through committee, it is a process, And I think that it's only, I'm in favor of this. I do want to read it over a little bit more carefully. I do want to understand a couple of things. I do want to discuss it with the attorney. I do want to discuss it with the executive director. But I think it would set a bad precedent for us to, for the chair to come up with a well thought out and a well reasoned and a well processed but important resolution, and expect a board, especially 3 new members, to vote on this thing without a process. The process that in 10 years that I've been here we always follow is that this goes to the proper committee. It's debated and discussed in committee. The committee refers it back to the commission as a whole, and then the commission votes on it. I would recommend that you follow that process.
Yes. Member Fano.
I would like to applaud you for thinking this out and going over it with staff, which I assume everyone in staff consulted on this, including the executive director. I do have a concern with the CPI, and I'd like to bring that forward. We had a hearty discussion at the policy and planning workshop in regard to policy. I still believe, and I know that Marie and I have a difference of thought here. It says here, I'm understanding that it will take place in 2019, and I think that will happen unless 2/3 of the board votes it down. I would like to go back to the policy, and perhaps instead of 2/3, it'd be 50%. Then I would have less of a problem with this. And if this goes forward, you have my vote. Thank you.
Madam Chair, if I may, we spent almost a half hour at the last board meeting discussing this item. It was put to a vote, and it was voted down with the exception of 1 member of this board. This is it was not?
I think it was a workshop. It was not a board meeting, right?
I'm sorry. I mean, at the workshop. I'm sorry.
Yes, correct.
It was at the board shop, and you may remember that our former treasurer made a very, very strong statement. We've asked council, and I think it's on the record. I would like to make it officially. I want you to put it officially on the record as to what bond counsel and the others will say regarding any changing of the agreements that we've made with the bondholders regarding this issue.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
It was a workshop, and what we voted on was whether to take it to the board to discuss it. We did not vote on the item.
I'm sorry.
I'm personally bringing it in front of the board again because it doesn't preclude me from bringing it to the board. It was not voted on, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for clarifying. Before you answer, Marie, I want to recognize Member Pena because I understand he had signaled me.
Yep. Thank you, Madam Chair. I was just being patient. I think from what I'm understanding, obviously this is the first time we have a chance to look at it, and from what I'm understanding you, and I wanted clarification from you and staff, is this has already been vetted by everybody, all the professional staff, including our attorney, including Marie, including Javier, the people that are here 9 to 5. So I just wanted to get clarification on that. I also understand that a lot of what's in here is already within our bylaws, within our policies and procedures. So I want to just get the clarification, check those 2 boxes, and if that in fact is the case, I want to support this for the simple reason that the timeliness of this, I understand the symbolism behind this. I understand procedure, Mr. Freya, and I understand we may be breaking with precedents, but I recognize that, but I think given the geopolitical world and where we're currently in at the moment, I think the timeliness, the symbolism of this is important to further send a message to the community that says, you know, we take our commitment serious and we're willing to make a resolution to further solidify. I think this is a document above and beyond what is necessary, because if this is already supported by staff, already in the bylaws and in our policies, it is a prudent document just for the simple reason that timeliness of it. So I will be voting to support this resolution.
Thank you
Madam
so
Chair.
very much for bringing the importance of this effort be done now. And I'm going to open it up to the executive director and to staff to step forward and address the items, because this didn't just get crafted overnight. It took a lot of effort, and it also took a lot of checks and balances. There is a delicate balance between what is being done and what we can do, and this is a commitment that we can make. So I turn it over to you.
Board members, I need to clarify what this does, or what this resolution is. The reason staff is 100% behind it is because nothing in this resolution changes anything that's in our current policy. So, to Board Fano, I understand what your proposal is, but if that was to be changed today, I would recommend that it doesn't happen here, that it go to committee, because that would be a material change of the policy. What this does, as a practitioner, having to meet with the community, having to meet with elected officials who ask us numerous questions of how we operate and the misconceptions, and then I've got to, and Marie's been with me, and Juan's been with me, and Bernardo's been with me, and then I have to open up policies and point to this one, and then point to that one, and point to here, and by the time you point to the second one, you've lost them, because the first thing in their mind is, you raise the tolls, you're collecting a lot of money, and I'm hearing elected officials in Miami saying that they want to take your money to put it into projects. Therefore, you're going to continue to toll us over and over and over again. So when the chairwoman explained this to me, and at first I don't think we were 100% on the same page, but after we listened and explained, and basically what she said is, put everything that we've already established into one document so that it's an easier soundbite to say rather than having to flip through a lot. That's why we supported it. I will say, Madam Chair, that if there's any changes in material, I would tell you that we would have to go back to committee. This doesn't materially change anything that we have in our policies.
The only thing that it does give a
that
is very important.
For the record,
with the exceptions.
Our finance plan, when we issued debt, our finance plan did not assume any toll increases. It actually looked at the toll staying at the same rate, and then it actually put a different finance plan with only CPI being applied. So we never took into account into our finance plan that there would be a base rate adjustment of tolls. Now, the reason we can support this is that under those 4 criteria, number 1, or A, if you look at the section 1A, says, as may be required under its trust indenture and or its debt management policy that requires senior coverage requirement of 150. So if our coverage falls below 150, board members, by trust, we have to do something to the toll rates to get above that senior coverage, or we default, or we have the potential of default. And that's, I leave that to the expert financial folks to explain more, but that's why we can support this, because it doesn't materially change anything that we have in our books.
I'm gonna Mr. Gonzalez, but then I want Marie and also Randy to come before us. Yes. Oh, you wanted to speak?
Madam Chair, if I may, this is Robert Holland. Like I said, I made the motion. I'm going to have to end up getting off of the call for an emergency. And so I don't know if I can be logged in as a yes vote on the item.
Sure. Can he be logged in as a yes vote?
What motion we're voting on?
The motion is as it stands in this resolution without any changes.
But without changing the
Without
CPI.
any changes. It can't be changed unless we go to policy. Right.
As
okay.
is.
As is. Right. So good. Thank you very much, Mr. Holland. Alfredo, Lewis, Mr. Cancio. And
I
then staff.
support the motion. I think it's a good thing to put this on one piece of paper. Ordinarily, I would agree that this should go to committee and be studied by the committee and brought back, but really we're only confirming what already has been voted on. I would be completely against doing anything that would be contrary to what we advertised to the bondholders. And so if there's an amendment to that, my vote is no. If there's none, and all we're voting is what I see here, I'm okay. Now, I did have one question. It does say that we can take steps if the debt management goes below 150. But then it says on C that you can't increase the CPI until 2019. So what if you have that problem before 2019? What happens?
These are all ors, so any of these trigger at that point in time. So if the finance coverage goes down to 150, then
it's either one or the other one.
I got it.
Right. The key with this is we need to protect our bondholders.
Yeah.
Okay? There's a lot of talk on what is going to happen with the money. We need to affirm one more time that we're committed to them and our stakeholders. Yes, Mr. Martinez?
Thank you. I think what great benefit this is rather than have to go through multiple policy documentation to see where each one of these individual things are, we provide to anyone who asks a Reader's Digest version or a summary of every single thing that they're concerned about. And it's no longer looking through, I was thinking Cliff Notes as well, but I couldn't remember what they were called from those days. This makes it easier for should anybody need to ask a question about these issues. Javier, the vice chair, the chair, whoever can say, look, this is the policy we have relating to these issues. Instead of having volume after volume after volume of book, it's an easier way for people to see what we've already agreed upon. And that's something I really want to make extremely clear, and I concur with Mr. Gonzalez and others. There is no changes to any of the promises we've made to the bondholders or any other thing that we have agreed. This is simply a outline of what we've already agreed upon, and that's what I believe we've been said. Is that correct, Mr. Rodriguez? So I think it's a no-brainer in the sense that it is exactly what we've already done. We're just saying, look, here it is for you to see again.
In this section 8B, who's going to vote if the system maintenance and safety project necessary for public safety? The board going to vote?
Every year, we have to prepare a report that states the system's in a state of good repair. We also have performance measures by the Florida Transportation Commission on a maintenance rating program where we have to be above a certain level. If at any time we fall below, we identify the projects that are necessary, and the board would have to vote to include it, yes.
And in the C, Consumer Price Index, CPI, what's going to be the baseline for the CPI in 2019?
We're going to use the state of Florida index to calculate that.
So that was to be from now?
What's the number?
The baseline.
In 2017, I believe, is when the baseline
Correct.
starts. See, this is a clarification of our current policy. There's a misread in the current policy. The clock starts ticking on the baseline in 2017. The community interpreted that in July of 2017, you were applying a CPI, and that's not the way it operated. So the baseline starts in 2017. It would first be considered to be applied, physically applied to the roadways in 19, but that would be the baseline.
Okay. With that, I would like Randy to come before us and address this item. I also want Marie, if you, and then I know the rest of the board has questions.
Before you make a comment, if I may, Madam Chair, when the resolution was put together, we did go through an enormous amount of due diligence, and Randy can speak to from the financial perspective of some of the things that he worked on. We did reach out to bond counsel. Our bond counsel is Squire Sanders, and they went over the disclosure document very carefully, and they are comfortable with what's before you in the resolution. So we made sure that whatever we disclose to our bondholders is consistent. As I stated, in Section 1, not only does this relate to confirming what our policies are, but it also, affirms how the financing plan was built. And Randy can get into that specifically as well. But the board has already taken action on the financing plan when we issued debt, when we did the refunding in 2014 in September, as well as in June when we issued new money to finance the current work program. So nothing in the resolution is contrary to what has already occurred. The financing plan already builds in to finance all the construction projects that are in the construction phase of the 5-year work program. The projects that are not in the construction phase, such as the PD&E, were not included in our financing plan with any assumption of any rate adjustments. So the financing plan on the revenue stream that we worked on with our traffic and revenue consultants, we kept the base toll rate the same throughout the life of the financing plan. We only included CPI for that purpose. We had targets of 150, and that's what we talked to the investing market when we talked to potential investors. So everything that's in this resolution is just really laying it out in a very simple way of explaining to the public how we're managing and explaining our finances. That's what the resolution before you does. As far as Section 4 is concerned, Section 4 actually comes right out of the toll policy on how new projects are going to be built. And we did have a discussion with the investors back in September that we did not program additional debt for any of those projects that were in the PD&E stage, that would be determined at a later point in time whether or not those projects were financially feasible or not. So just to give you kind of some comfort, it's not just the policies, but the board has already taken action on the financing plan.
I really appreciate the detailed explanation, so everybody gets a very comfort in terms of voting and understanding this, because I understand that, this may be very deep, but it's also very important. Randy?
Hey, Randy Tobel with First Southwest. The reason I was looking at this is it does condense everything down to very precise, easy to read language. And Cliff Notes was the perfect analogy. There was nothing in here that we saw that would jeopardize credit. In fact, it makes it even a little bit easier for the people that have had to read multiple documents to really put it in one place and punch it home. So I kind of like that. A lot. The point that we want to make sure on the capital plan is all dollars, whether we're saving them today, let's say we're saving $20 million today, they're still needed. What it does is it saves us not have to put the money out in 2021. Our capital program is very long, and we've committed every single dollar to reduce debt. And every dollar that we transfer out is going to equate to at least $1.80 to $2 more that we're going to have to collect and pay over the life of the issue. So we're very conservative from the standpoint of limiting the amount of debt that your toll payers had to pay. And it was a very big step. It was closer to 40% that we didn't have to finance with bonds. 30 was our original target, and we actually did a little bit better because interest rates came down. So we were able to limit that. The other side of it is we've already started the process of paying bonds off earlier when we have the capacity. We actually create surplus cash that's not needed for construction, about 2021, 2022, depending on where it falls in. If you accelerate programs, that's going to change the mix a little bit, but our current sequencing of programs, that's where it falls. At that point in time, we'll have bonds that will be currently callable. We'll be able to buy those bonds in at no premium. We'll be able to pay off and reduce the debt load to the system quickly and cheaply, and that's part of the plan. If you do want to go forward, this just outlines the plans. It doesn't handcuff you in any way if you want to go forward. If those projects are self-funding, it doesn't stop you from essentially fronting the money for the first 5 years of the interest-only components. That was always part of and it fits exactly with the state's financing. The state finances exactly the same way that you've adopted. We feel good about it. I was kind of saying to Marie, I mean, this is exactly everything we've already told him, so why are we doing it? And she told me why. It's to be a concise form and a concise message, and it is concise.
Thank you. Any questions? Yes. And
No.
Walters? You're on.
In addition to being uncomfortable because this is my first meeting, my discomfort was amplified when I was handed this item at the last minute. And I want to thank the executive director for, clarifying to me what the issues are and making me comfortable enough to be able to support this. Thank you.
Very good.
Madam Chair, thank you. Before we act on this, I'd like to ask my colleagues on this board to support this today, and that we support it unanimously. And I turn to Mayor Ferre, and as much as I totally understand and agree with your ideas relating to precedent and policy, this is a very unique situation, and each one of these situations will stand on their own. I don't think this is problematic for purposes of that, and I will encourage you to also support this. And Madam Chair, if I could, this is not a huge issue, but on the title of this resolution, the first line says, resolution declaring no future toll rate increases. It somewhat sends a signal of us being reactionary to what's going on, and the only thing I would ask as a possible friendly amendment to the title only would be where it says resolution declaring, right in there that we insert something to the effect of resolution affirming the policies of MDX, and then let it continue, because I think what we want to send the signal is that this is, like we said, cliff notes of what's there today. We're not doing anything new. We're not reacting. We are making it simple for those who want to know what we're all about and what our policies are, that it's all here. So with that, and again, that's a friendly amendment only to the title, not to the substance of the now therefore section. And with that, I would again encourage my colleagues to support this and that we do it today.
I have no problem with that.
If I may make a suggestion, if we could, the resolution affirming the financing plan and policies.
Affirming the financing plan and policies.
Yes, of MDX.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not deleting anything that's written there, because that basically means that we continue declaring no future toll rate increases, because that's the key message that includes, because people don't know that that's something that we're committing to and that we're not going to be doing. Very good. Any other questions?
So you move the vote. Do we have to have I guess, approve this amendment?
I don't know what that does for purposes of a maker of the motion.
It's just clarification on the title. It doesn't change any of the items that are standing in the body. So what do you think, Council? The changing
No, I
of the,
don't think
adding
it changes
the,
no substance. You're just changing the title.
Okay, very good. I have a motion and a second. Are there any other questions? I think I saw you raise your hand that you wanted to say something.
I did. I think some of what I had to say was already said. And as the recently appointed board member by the County Commission, I essentially represent all 13 county commissioners, and much of their concern is toll rates, and we're very aware of that. And I commend you for the hard work in drafting this resolution, because it speaks to one of the major concerns to the county commissioners and to the constituency of Miami-Dade County. There was one comment that I had on item C, and it goes back to the CPI, and I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I do want to reference Board Member Fano's comments, and in that item, to me, it seems that it would become automatic, and if by policy it is required for a 2/3 vote, is that correct?
To not
implement
not.
it. Right. Correct.
I think we need to clarify that for the new members. If I may, Madam Chair.
If I may just finish my thought, I think it may be advantageous to include that specification in that item for those that read this in a Reader's Digest, so it doesn't come off in any other way, that there is an opportunity for the board to make decisions around these items. That was my only comment, but again, I am in favor of this item, and I'm thankful to you, Madam Chair, and to the board for bringing this forth.
Madam Chair, I would disagree with what Mr. Meyer is saying, and here's the reason why. This has a specific purpose. The purpose of this document is, as I understand it, is in a very simple way to reaffirm our policy and to tell the people that are out misstating the reality of what we're doing, so that they understand that this is already our policy. This reaffirms it. If you start inserting something which is already cast in stone because it cannot be changed without paying off the bonds, and legal counsel has told us that we cannot change it. In other words, the only way that this functions is if 2/3 of the board in 2019 would vote to stop it. And that this resolution can't change that. So I think what this does is it's a positive reaffirmation of the positive things, and I wouldn't want to insert a negative that will just get people all upset.
Most definitely, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Thank you, and thank you, Vice Chair Ferrer, for that clarification, which was very important. I do want to report my vote. I have to get back to my business here in D.C. I've been on the phone for a while now. I want to support your resolution and commend you, Madam Chair, and I'd like to be allowed to at least record my vote before I get off the call.
Thank you very much, Member Weinberg.
Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to clarify, my intention was not to change the resolution. It was to create an awareness for the current board members and the new board members. I am totally fine and utterly delighted with this resolution as is. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Beautiful. Thank you, Member Fano. Yeah, there is a motion, there is a second. All those in favor?
Well, before we vote, I'd like to make one statement, if I may.
Yes.
Yeah. As you well know, we all have the right to call a 7-day rule. This came to us today. I am not going to do that. I'm going to vote for this because of the overwhelming support that this has, and the fact is that it doesn't change the essence of or the legal of what we've done. So I will be voting in favor of it. I am concerned about precedent, and I hope that in the future this will not be used.
I think the key with an organization such as this is to be nimble, and the time required.
If I may finish my statement, then I'm voting with you, Madam Chair. I'm just saying that I have the right to invoke the 7-day rule, and I'm not doing it. And that's all, and I'm ready to vote.
Very good. There's a motion, a second. All those in favor? Aye. Anyone against? You're voting against? Very good. Let the record show that Member Cancio voted against. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Congratulations to MDX. And now we move into something in the shade. Attorney-client privilege, and I'm supposed to read something into the record.
It's 6:19, so it says 4 o'clock. So
yeah, I know.
You're gonna have to change.
6:19. The time is now 6:19. We're about to have an attorney-client session in accordance with the Florida statute 286.011 regarding the litigation styled Electronic Transaction Consultants Corporation versus Miami-Dade Expressway Authority, case number 12-46272 CA40 in the 11th Judicial Circuit in and for Miami-Dade County, Florida. The session is estimated to last about 30-45 minutes, and the following people will be in attendance at this meeting. Myself, board members, those present, and do I have to read it to the record, all the names?
Yes.
Okay. Vice Chair Maurice Ferrer, Member Arthur J. Meyer, Member Gus Bagel, Member Alfredo Gonzalez, Member Luis V. Martinez, Member Treasurer Rick Rodriguez Pina, Member Shelley Smith Fano, Member Javier Vasquez, Member Cliff, it says Waters.
Walters.
No, but this says Waters, even though I will say Walters. Member Jose Cancio. MDX attorney Carlos Aldivar, Francine Steelman, and outside counsel Joseph H. Sorota and Michael Ehrenstein. Yes. Javier Rodriguez, Executive Director. And then I continue. These proceedings will be recorded by a certified court reporter, and at the conclusion of all litigation discussed, the transcripts will be made part of the public record. All individuals who I have not named should leave this room and reconvene in the conference room adjourning these chambers. So in other words, we're going to be stepping out, and we'll be back to finish the board meeting. Thank you.
Submittals for this 1502 or whatever was awarded.
You know the drill.
Email to you?
It's already public today, so you can email it to Michael. Public records. Yes. Yeah, because you. Oh no, you want to evaluate. You are a proposer. Send it to me. Yeah. Thank you.
Helen, you want to check with Shelley to make sure she's not going to ask any questions?
What?
You want to check with Shelley, make sure she's not going to ask any questions when we come back?
How are you? Good. Mucho gusto. Helen Cordero.
How long are you going to be?
Clarification on that before we leave?
Let me see.
Because if they ask anything and nobody's going to answer, it's going to look bad.
Yes.
Sí, el email dice como contacto.
No, le mandé el email y digo, deja cerrar un pico sin saber.
Now closed, and we resume with our board meeting. We have informational items that are all attached. Your communication report, your procurement report is attached. And right now, there's no scheduled meetings for the rest of this month, but there will be, of course, for April, because we like to have fun. Again, I take this time to say welcome to the new board members. And to the rest of the board members, thank you very much for your selfless effort and always showing up to work on MDX issues. Your volunteer effort, time, professionalism is so well received and needed. And congratulations to you, Mr. Treasurer. You no longer can say, I did that already. Sir, I did that already. I know how to do homework. That's what people forget. Congratulations to you. One thing, you no longer can say, what?
Green. As a former new board member, then you relatively new board member.
No longer allowed.
We have new board members now.
Congratulations. Would you like to say anything? Nothing?
No, thank you very much,
I've
Madam
already
Chair.
reported the
Yeah.
committee reports and everything. All right, meeting is adjourned.
Second.
All right.
He's not a trip.